on advice from you or, help along their journeys as they try to make it as basketball players?
Yeah, definitely. I come here every summer just to spend some time with some of the guys and the coaching staff that was there when I was there. So, it's always good to be back here to show love. And, they did so much for me. So it's always good to give back.
Did you like that you were able to stare down all your teammates over there?
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, I remember when they put it up, they sent me a picture, and I was really honored, and it was good for my teammates to see it.
Is it strange at all to practice with your own picture?
Yeah, it's a little weird. At some point, we was going through some drills, and I was standing. I was like, damn, that's me over there. But nah, it's just all the work that I work here and all that, and them showing love.
Lou, as we're driving up to the campus for practice, just what sort of memories are flooding back as you're practicing in this building, going over to the weight room? Just what's going through your head?
A lot of memories. I remember coming here out of class on the little scooter stuff. I didn't have a car none of that. So, I was here for a year. I wasn't here for that long, but still, I learned so much here from the people and the staff and everything. So, I'm grateful.
Lou, you've been through so many of these experiences now as a player, like a game like last night. Some of the guys on the team, Chet, Case, and they haven't had to kind of learn from a night like that, flush it, and then get ready to play on the road again. And what's your role in a situation like this to help you guys kind of move forward and get ready for tomorrow?
Yeah, just to be able to move on quick. It's gonna be nice like that where it's not really falling for us. And especially on the road against a good team like that, and the crowd against us, it's not easy, but. At the end of the day, we have so many games and we have so many chances to get back on our feet. So, we got another challenge tomorrow, and we just got to turn the page.
Lou, obviously, you're going to get a ton of credit, at the point of attack, just defending guys. Kaysen's going to get credit this year because of how good he looks this early. But I'm curious what you thought of, Shai's development on the end and maybe how his defense has been swept under the rug.
No, yeah, he's been great, especially, Shai got great hands, just being in the gap and, I don't know how many steals he gets a game just because he's in the right position, and it's just a willingness. He just see me going through I don't know how many screens and whatever, and and Chet at the rim and all that. So, it just brings a lot of energy and him just doing it at the same time. It's huge.
Mark, kind of late night last night, you get a chance to get a good practice in. What was the most important thing for you all to try to get accomplished today at practice?
It's hard to find practice time, so a little bit of combo work for the guys that played, high intensity work for the guys that didn't. Everybody got a lift, walk through a couple Phoenix things, and keep it moving.
When you watch those high intensity workouts, what are you most focused on?
Try not to overreact to them. I think it's more for the guys and keeping their conditioning up and their rhythm. I also think it's good for them psychologically when they don't play or they don't play a lot.
Well said.
As I was saying, to get back in the gym, it's good for them psychologically to get back in the gym. It creates like a reset. So we found that to be effective, and this particular group does a great job with it. They get to 0-0. They really are invested. They wanted extra time on the clock today that we gave them. So we've had great high intensity work. Gives me a lot of confidence when we pull a guy from the non-playing group and put him on the court that they're ready.
Mark, because you spent so much of the season already at Paycom, I'm curious, what are you still trying to accomplish on the road?
In the games, obviously, it comes down to the same stuff. It's a different environment when you're on the road. But in these practice days, same thing. Just try to move the team forward. Be a little bit better today than we were yesterday. When you're on a road trip like this, you got to get some quality out of the practices. We're fortunate to be at a college where we've got a full weight room, good practice courts, stuff like that.
We don't talk all the time, but you have a very young group. Like Chet was talking last night about having only played 2 road games before this. Does youth show itself in some of the stuff that, like last night, some of the things that happened, some of the lapses in effort or some of the missed assignments and blockouts, things like that?
Maybe. I think we owe it to this particular group because they're ambitious, they're confident, they're competitive, and they've outplayed their age. I think we owe it to them to not provide that excuse for them. We owe it to them to hold them to a high standard that we don't have to move as they get older, and let that standard win the day. And then I think the key for me is, when we don't reach that standard on a possession or in a game, having a level of perspective and just using that as part of a learning process and a feedback loop, and not getting so emotional about the outcomes that it clouds the process of growth, and so I think it's a little bit of patience, a little bit of impatience, but this group doesn't want patience when it comes to a high standard. They want to be held to a high standard. They want to play to a high standard. We've proven to be capable of that. And so why not have that every single game? But, we're not going to be perfect, especially as a young team. And when we're not, we need to accept where we are, learn the lessons, and then try to be better the next time. And that's what we'll try to do tomorrow.
Isaiah gave you guys a little bit of a lift last night, and in that third quarter, just his consistency offensively of hunting, finding those quality looks, and being able to knock them down. Just how valuable is that for you guys to have on that roster?
Yeah, huge. The gravity of him and the way that he moves off the ball creates driving angles and, really creates space for us, makes teams pay with his shooting. And he missed a couple good ones last night. And this season so far, I've kind of, he's missed some where I've been like, man, like he usually makes that. And then you look down, he's shooting 39.4%. It's like he should be over 40. So he's a hell of a shooter. But, I've said all along, he's a whole complete player. Offensively as well. He plays the system, he moves the ball, he cuts, he screens, he offensive rebounds, or at least goes to the glass. So there's a lot to like, even when the shot's not going in or if he's not getting a shot on a possession.
I imagine if you're thinking that shot should have gone in, Isaiah's probably thinking the exact same thing, but he's still going down, ripping the same shot without hesitation. Just what sort of confidence does he, exude to you when being able to go and get those shots still?
Yeah, I think that's where, a predictable shot diet helps, because when you have a predictable shot diet, you don't have to think about whether to shoot it or not. And I think shooters definitely develop that quicker. That's why I was impressed with Kaysen last night. He airballed that shot and then came down the next possession and shot the same one. He ended up making it, but just the confidence to shoot it. I think that's where consistency in the shots you take is important, because otherwise that's where overthinking can come in.
Mark, you guys have had such a kind of focus on gratitude over the last few years. Just curious, with it being Veterans Day, if you had any thoughts or personal connections with regard to Veterans Day.
Well, shout out obviously to all the veterans out there, certainly of our fans, unbelievable sacrifices they've made for our country. And shout out to Jalen Williams' parents, two Air Force veterans. He's taking them out to dinner tonight for Veterans Day. He told me that earlier before practice. So, that's certainly personal connection for our program.
Mark, I'm curious. I think Chet told Slam something along the lines of, because the team is so young, there's no hierarchy, which makes it seem like they're all kind of level. I'm curious the sense you get in terms of how that's leaked into, maybe how they support each other emotionally and what that's done for the foundation.
I think there's something to, a team growing together and going through experiences together and being, kind of at a similar phase, maybe not the same phase, but you think of it like siblings, like if siblings are close in age together, they kind of have this shared, thing, because they're kind of going to the same school and around the same age and stuff, versus if siblings are, one's 25 and the other one's 11, it's not as relatable. And I think we have a team that is pretty, relatable in that way. And I think they've built great chemistry out of that. And a lot of people make the comment like, do you need, somebody to teach the young guys? It's like they kind of teach each other, or they grow together. We've got great veterans, of the guys we have and that we've had, but the young players stand on their own 2 feet, and I think the communal element of that has a lot to do with it.
The shot, Kaysen airballs the shot, and then he comes back and takes it. He's a rookie, and he's going to make some mistakes, but he does not seem to me to get bothered by a lot. Like, it doesn't seem like situations don't seem to stress him out. Is that uncommon for somebody his age?
For sure. I mean, and he's going to have moments where he gets overwhelmed or anxious, that's coming. It's the NBA, and it's hard. It's really hard to be an NBA player. It's hard to be a rookie NBA player when you're going through everything for the first time. So if and when, he confronts a hurdle that he trips on and falls with, we're not going to be surprised or overreact to it. But he has had an uncommon poise to him and maturity so far, and that's been impressive. And it's been, from day zero. He had that in the draft process. He had that in college.
I was just curious. We're here in Arizona State, obviously, but when you walk into the room and you see Lou Dort on the back wall there, and especially knowing his journey and his path, just what's that like for you as a coach, seeing? seeing that there.
Yeah, it's cool coming here because he's got a lot of pride here. He's got a lot of pride generally. I really, one of the things I really appreciate about him is he's really loyal to where he's from, from his hometown. Obviously, we talked when we were back in Montreal and Arizona State, and now here we're reaping the benefits of that. He has a lot of pride in the uniforms that he represents and the places that he represents, and that's an intangible that you can't really put any value on. It's helpful, and he certainly represents us in that way. We're appreciative, and we're glad we get to be here and share some of his history with him.